The stern portrait of Posy stood prominent in the center of the wall, and her eyes beamed down upon Warden Bonbon, who convinced herself to admire it. As beautiful as this painting was, Bonbon felt its icy stare, confining her to rock prison. Next to the portrait were several framed photographs of Posy, sapphire shores, and a yellowish mare donned in jumpsuits and military uniforms during their service in the Gaian Air Force. The pictures represented happier times. However few there were during the prolonged and bloody Cloudsdale offensive. This gave the illusion that these 3 flight mares were enlisted during peacetime. Normal ponies, especially those who had killed hundreds of Pegasi, always seemed to prominently display these idyllic pictures as if they wanted to forget the horrific actions they had done to their enemies. As they say, a good Pegasus is a dead one, but any pony caught with gruesome pictures of their corpses would accuse them of being insane. These pictures wanted to say that the war happened only yesterday, but it continued to rage on. The Great Pony War between the 3 tribes may have started 1,000 years ago, but it never truly ended. Only the Pegasi and the Earth Ponies remain, and the gods of skirmishes and sorties demanded regular sacrifices of young mares and stallions on the altar of war. The candy wrappers started piling up on her desk again. That was a signal to check the secret prison where they kept the most dangerous criminals and experimented on them. She kept telling herself that it was necessary for the good of Gaia, but in her heart screamed in the utmost agony against such cruel acts. The motto for Gaia was that every pony was equal in the eyes of Mother Earth, but not even criminals deserved such treatment. Just outside her office in the waiting room, there was a blonde stallion chatting up with her secretary, Ace. He was still there. She did not expect him to be, since Teddy was adamant in staying in one of the guards' bunk beds. The president advisor of information control had managed to find a way to conduct his work on one of the scientists' portable computers and dole out orders via video conferencing. As for Ace, he was probably here because he couldn't return to Gaiopolis without Teddy, or he wanted to sneak away with one of the prison mares. Bonbon tried hurrying out into the hallway and into the restricted access elevator, but Ace, much to her chagrin, caught up to her. Rock prisons certainly hired themselves a pretty mare for warden, he grinned. That's to be expected of ace pilot, sweetie drops. Bonbon froze. So, you must have dyed your mane and coat, said Ace. It's you, isn't it? I don't know what you're talking about, said Bonbon. When you hang out with a lunkhead like Teddy, you pick up a few of his tricks. Boy, oh boy, I never thought I'd find you here. I thought Posy would have made you disappear after what you did to her. I didn't do anything. Yes, my behavior towards her during my tour of duty is reprehensible, said Bonbon. But her good grace pardoned me in secret with the stipulation that I changed my name and my colors. If you excuse me, Mr. Ace, I have to check on the prisoners in the underground level. I heard some rumors that it was Mistress Posy who came onto you, and that you were forced to take the fall. Man, I'm not sure if I should tell Lancer, but it would be hilarious to see his face when he learns that the Chancellor is a... Bonbon slapped him. How dare you imply such accusations about our Chancellor? You, of all ponies, should know better than to spread false rumors about her grace. And just to let you know, I moved on. Oh really? Who's the lucky stallion? Or mare? I overheard you talking with my secretary that you have yet to step into the stallion's ward. What's it to you? Besides, Teddy is still snuggling up with photo finish. I mean, she taught him all the ropes, but I never thought he was this close. Guards. Bonbon spoke into her wrist communicator. Please provide escort for President Advisor Ace the Younger as he tours the stallion's ward. Oh, you're going to give me the flower guards. I can't decide which one I like out of the three. Stepping into the elevator, Bonbon didn't wait for him to be disappointed when the guard stallions, Golden Grape and Lucky Clover, appeared by his side. The elevator doors closed before he could jump in after her. Each time she reached the secret prison gave Bonbon shivers. Designated at Facility T02, she walked through the medieval cavern-like halls, where the ceiling was unnaturally high, as were the ancient doors. Bonbon stopped by the cell where Photo Finish had been imprisoned, and through the viewing port she saw Teddy somberly feeding his former mentor. One more cell down, she saw prisoner 0228 sitting on her haunches to stare at the wall while fluttering her lips with the tip of a hoof. In her state, she definitely earned the nickname Screwball in more ways than one. She did not enter into the element research room, where she escorted Teddy a while back, but Bonbon turned right and walked further down in a dimly lit hallway into Professor Heartstring's lab. Bright lights showered over the latest findings unearthed through the prison's constant mining operations. In separate piles on a long table were a pile of bones, a pile of clothes, and an old purse with its contents neatly laid out and identified. Not too far, staring at her with a ghastly and toothy grin, was a bleached skeleton of an ancient extinct race. Ponies referred to them as the Walkers, the Titans, or Devil Apes. Heartstrings had a different name for them. Humanoids. Didn't hear you come in, said Heartstrings as she hopped off her stool. On her work table at the corner, she had been busily assembling yet another set of bones into what looked to be hand. Ugh, one more minute with Ace, I might actually become a lesbian mare, said Bonbon. So, did you tell him? He may be a chauvinistic jerk, but he's not dumb. Then it looks like you have to step up the act with me. I won't go that far, Professor. You're right. I suppose receiving that rare contraband jazz record yesterday would be the last of these loving gifts. I thought you didn't like them. I said I didn't mind them. I mean, it's nice to have a friend who's hooked up with the elite Earth Party and is able to get forbidden artifacts here and there. So, what did you find today? More humanoids articles? We did unearth more bone fragments, but not in the amount we have estimated at our last dig. There are about a dozen possible complete specimens, but all of them are carbon dated at random times, and almost all of them had died of natural causes. At this rate, I'm really starting to believe that a wizard did it. You're still stuck on that theory? I don't want to propose a theory that magic wiped them out, but the government have burned all the unicorns' books and scrolls hundreds of years ago. I thought being an archaeologist would help shine some light on how we ponies became the dominant species of the planet. All I am finding so far are evidence of their existence and absolute nothing explaining their disappearance. You're sure there are no cover-ups on your side? It's kind of counterproductive that the government will cover up what you are researching. But at least I'll know. Sorry, I didn't mean to bore you with my rant. I have to at least pretend to be interested so that we can pretend that we're seeing each other in secret. Besides, I'm the one who is supposed to apologize for dragging you into my little white lie. Bonbon, why do you have to suffer to do this? If you're not a lesbian mare, then tell every pony. The Honorable Chancellor gave me clandestine order that in order to suppressed knowledge of her illicit behavior towards me, I will have to take the blame, become marked as a KIA, and change my name. I cannot let that rumor be brought to light, or else it will undo all the charitable actions the Chancellor has done for this country. Either way, Posey sent you here, and that does not mean she loves you. The Honorable Chancellor was young and confused back then. I rejected her advances as politely as I could, and somebody caught us at a bad time. Then rejecting her was the real reason why you were sent here? I came here to relax and have a nice conversation with my pretend lover, just so I can escape Mr. Ace, not hear wild accusations about our Chancellor. Good day, heartstrings. Don't expect to receive another jazz racket. Bonbon stormed off, but she suddenly stopped just past the doorway. Bonbon? There's a guard, Bonbon hissed. What about him? I need you to stroke my hoof with yours. Maybe this isn't a good time. Just do it. The green earth pony met up with the warden, and after making sure she was in partial view, she performed the act. Whisper something, said Bonbon, in my ear. Like what? I don't know, something that sounds like I love you, and look happy while you say it. Fine. Heartstrings whispered, but Bonbon couldn't pick up the inaudible words. She only felt the warm breath from the other pony's lips. What did you say? Bonbon asked as the two separated. Does it matter? Then you at least smiled, right? What about you? I'm wincing. The guard won't know the difference. Don't you have to go? I'm going. The doors to Heartstrings' slab shuddered behind Bonbon, who was angry with the pony professor. She still needed her because Bonbon admired Posey. She loved Posey. The wait was the hardest part. At the dead of night, Applejack sat on her haunches on her bunk, occasionally watching the pink mare nearly dozing off right next to the toilet. Somehow, Pinky acquired a fishing pole, a fishing hat, and a tackle box upon which she sat on. The nylon line was used to lower Gummy into the bowl, not that was really necessary in the first place. In fact, there was no point of acquiring fishing gear when Pinky could just fish out her pet baby alligator with her hoofs, like she did with sarsaparilla bottles, a boombox, and even a loaf of bread. Hold on to your hoofs, said the pink pony. I got a bite. Applejack pulled the newspapers over herself and her bunk bed right as the water splashed out of the toilet. Gummy, biting safely on a plastic hook, had been yanked out of the bowl by his mad mistress and landed right in front of the orange pony with his purple poker eyes blinking separately before her. Applejack, brimmed with excitement at his arrival, dropped out of her bunk and yanked the paper out of the waterproof tube the baby alligator had tied to his back. Finally, she received the long-awaited response she waited almost an entire day for. I am not the stallion you are looking for, Redmond. Did he say yes? He didn't say nothing, Applejack cried as she crushed the note under hoof. Pinks, you gotta get me to see this Redmond fella in pony. Wow, you must really be attracted to him, even though you only seen him once. That's the thing, he might be my brother. You're in love with your brother? I'm not. Look, you must have a way to get me to see him. I have to make sure, 'cause it's driving me crazy. There is a way? Lay it on me. I don't care how crazy it is. The next morning began as usual, but with a surprising twist. Hiya, Mrs. Cake, said Pinky as she stepped before the blue earth mare. I know it's early, but I would like a triple fudge banana fudge sundae with extra fudge. Sorry, but I'm all out. Mrs. Cake weakly smiled. But I can make you your wheat cream look like one, and instead of chocolate, I can add gravy. That looks like chocolate, right? Mrs. Cake talking? Pinky's gasp was so loud enough to silence the entire cafeteria, and Applejack scrunched up next to her to make sure she wasn't hearing things either. Is there something wrong? Mrs. Cake asked. No, nothing's wrong, said Pinky. Wow, even I freaked out. What happened? Oh, I made a darling little hairless colt. Dearie, please move along. You're holding up the line. Yes, sirree, ma'am. And Applejack, I slipped something special in your cornbread. That would be a first. Even poison would be more appetizing than the stale junk they fed to the prisoners. Aside from Mrs. Cake suddenly talking more than a few words and having some semblance of an expression, her making sure Applejack catch her wink put the orange pony on edge. Applejack accepted her meal and headed back to sit with her usual prison mates. Today, however, there was one mare missing from their little group, and the mood went south from there. It appeared to be that Mrs. Cake swapped her moroseness with Lucy's pragmatic outlook. Lucy barely ate, and she did not look at her friend's eyes. Cheer up, Screwloose, cried Pinky. I'm sure Screwball is just chillaxing in solitary. I suppose, said Lucy, but I have this bad feeling that she might not be coming back. Beneath her hoof, Lucy rolled up and down the table a baseball she had reassembled from the smashed remains. No pony said anything else at the table, and Pinky had enough sense to know that Lucy was not in the mood for conversation. They ate in silence. As for the special ingredient inside her cornbread, Applejack carefully disassembled it discreetly and found a folded piece of paper deep inside. She did not have time to open it, for the work whistle had been blown. Applejack quickly pocketed it and followed the crowd into the locker rooms to prepare for yet another grueling day in the mines. During their high-speed descent into mines, Pinky had made sure that he scrunched herself between Applejack and Lucy. Conversations during this ride were difficult, but it was a perfect cover for any pony that wanted to discuss things in secret without the guards listening. Lucy, I need your help, said Pinky. You think you can sabotage the minecarts so that Applejack and I can sneak over to the stallion's work area? Pinky, I'm not in the mood for your antics, said Lucy. I know, but please, you have to help us. In return, I'll help you find Quirky. I'll see what I can do. That did not sound very convincing. This had to come at a bad time when Lucy, mechanical genius, was feeling down. Applejack was certain that Quirky's absence in their daily routine was only temporary. At least she hoped it was. But given the brutal state of the system, it would not be surprising that they would have thrown the purple mare into the deep ravines of the mines and then say she was transferred to a different prison. Even if they were on the same elevation or higher, it always felt like that the prisoners were going deeper and deeper underground. The back-breaking drudgery continued. As usual, the prisoners were required to report any findings of artifacts and fragments thereof to the nearest guard, so that archaeologists would be called over to assess its value and fragility. Ordinary rock were placed on motorized conveyor belts leading into the pits, and any rare gems were placed in the nearest designated cart. Guards were always present to make sure no mare snuck a jewel into her pocket. Work continued after a brief lunch and a brief song from Pinky about alligator fishing. Lucy continued to work the mining machines without giving any kind of signal to Applejack and Pinky on what she was going to do. The day was almost ending, and this was the only time that Applejack did not want to rush to leave the mines. Nothing happened, and before she knew it, all the prison mares were ordered to board the carts back to the surface. The driver turned the key to start its engines, but she immediately ran into trouble. "It's stuck. Twist it again," said Rose of the Flower Guards. "The engine won't start. Darn it. Every pony get off. Daisy, Lily, find Lucy's screw and get her over here." The prison mares groaned. It was bad enough that it took almost 30 minutes to back up to the surface at top speed without any interruptions or diversions, and now their planned evening schedules were going to be ruined. Daisy and Lily accosted Lucy and brought her over to the mine train's main engine. During her escort, she spotted Applejack and Pinky through her peripheral vision, but made no expression or signal towards them. "The starter shouted out," said Lucy. "This model is tough to repair, but I can jury-rig a working one if we pull one from one of the Howler's engines." "How long do you think it's going to take?" asked Rose. 15 minutes as best," said Lucy. "Maybe more?" "Then get to it." That was it. The opportune time for Applejack and Pinky to sneak off. The guards were only ponies, and that they would be too preoccupied at the prospect of being trapped in the mines to keep count of the prison mares. The pink and orange mares stood on their hind legs as they shoveled out of view and into the dark shadows of an alcove overlooking a huge drop. Far into the distance, the ominous, gargantuan, and ancient pillar-like structure continued to be illuminated by the scientists' spotlights, thus serving as the only source of light for Applejack and Pinky. "You know where we're going?" asked Applejack. "I have no idea. Even if we have all the time in the world, we'll end up lost before reaching the stallion's work area. That's okay, because I can use my pinky sense to find them." "What's a pinky sense?" "A pinky sense is my ability to predict certain kinds of future, like right now." Upon a short and sharp tremor, Pinky suddenly nudged Applejack to help her avoiding a falling rock in the alcove. "You see? My tail just twitched, and that means something's gonna fall on some pony." "I thought you were just excited the entire time." "Nuh-uh. I was saving you, the Screw Sisters, and every pony when these accidents happened. Sometimes I get twitchy tails for stuff that's going to happen far off in the future." Now I'm starting to think that you being a mass murderer is more plausible. "In any case, we can't just waltz in looking like this. We need disguises, and just so it happens, I packed 2 guardsmare uniforms underneath my overalls, in case of espionage emergencies." Overalls were thick, loose, and roomy, but almost every mare had made alterations to make sure that they continued to show their slim figure, though no stallion would be eyeing their way on a regular basis. Pinky's overalls also hugged close to her body, and yet somehow she had stuffed 2 sarin-wrapped uniforms underneath them without any blatant suspicion. "Did you?" Applejack gasped. "You had these the whole time, and you've just told me now?" "Well, duh. I can't let every pony know everything that's on my mind as to risk the espionage operation. Besides, it took a long time to fish these 2 out of the toilet. Now, let's get changed." "You fished those out of the toilet?" "I fished a lot of things from there, including the mattress you were sleeping on." The orange pony couldn't decide if she should be grossed out, angry, or so angry that all she could do at the moment was laugh and smile manically at the ridiculousness of the pink pony's antics. She couldn't argue anyway, because the time Lucy gave her and her pink cohort was ticking. Another mission, another cave system. Applejack seemed to find herself into these places more often than she had expected, and each time she had a partner to navigate the treacherous rocks. This time, however, time was of the essence, and yet one slip off the ledge and both of them could plummet to their deaths. While Applejack galloped cautiously, her pink cohort happily bounced up and down, seemingly oblivious to the severity of the situation. At each turn, Pinkie would, in such rare moments, sit still for a few seconds to hone her pinky sense to the right direction. Being these were the mines. Things were always falling, and things falling twitched the pink one's tail. But no normal pony would know exactly where falling rocks took place. Yet, somehow the pink ball of energy led them closer to the sounds of the heavy machinery and masculine grunts. After one hop across a very narrow ravine, Applejack and Pinkie spotted a tired stallion prisoner towing a cart full of rock and another towing a cart full of gems. "All right," said Applejack as she hid behind a large boulder. "How are we going to sneak in?" "We don't have to," smiled Pinkie. "Hey, every pony, the illustrious Pinkie the Pie is here." "Pinkie?" spoke the stallion prisoner. "Hey, fellows, Pinkie's here." Applejack face-hoofed. From out of the woodwork, or rather rockwork, stallion prisoners emerged from their work tunnels, cheering, hooting, and whistling at the pink pony in disguise, upon which she immediately showered gifts of pressed flowers and jewelry. It did show that she was attractive in her own right, and she quickly earned a spot on a makeshift carriage built from a minecart that the stallion prisoners gladly towed for her. The excitement soon died down when two stallion guards, real guards, trotted into view, thus forcing the prisoners to fall in line. "Sir Colton!" Pinkie cried. "Lucky! How are you guys doing?" "What are you doing here, Pinkie?" said Golden Grape. "You're going to get us in trouble." "Don't worry, Colton. We won't stay long. Applejack here is to find a boyfriend." "I am not!" cried the orange pony. "So, is Redmond around?" He's walking in the bottom," said Grape. "I take you there, but you might not like what you see." At least the gauntlet of the stallion prisoners leering at Applejack did not last very long. She boarded an elevator with Golden Grape and Pinkie, while Lucky Clover stayed behind as a watch. As they descended deeper into the stallion's work area, it became much darker and quieter. All that were heard were distant and painful grunts and the moving chains. Once arriving, Applejack made out the shapes of a few prison stallions working in the worst shape ever imaginable. They appeared gaunt, and patches of their mane and coat had fallen off. Every one of them was chained hoof to hoof, and each movement caused the chains to cry out in silent agony. "Are these poor stallions?" said Pinkie. "Don't worry, Pinkie the Pie will make them smile." "Go ahead and try," said Grape. "They may be fed, but their spirits have been completely broken through the worst possible torture methods. It's impossible to lift these ponies up." "Nothing is impossible for a hot-blooded Pinkie Pie. Watch me." "Fine," said Applejack. "Mr. Colton, is it? Take me to Redmond." I go by Golden Grape now," said Grape. "Just like you, Applejack. I lost my land to the government." "And you're working for them now?" "It's all I can do to support my family, but I have another reason for staying here." The pink pony was left behind to dance and drum up a song, something with the words Pony Rock Anthem in the verse. Golden Grape led Applejack in one of the tunnels where at the very end was lanky red stallion on his hind legs, chipping away at the rock in an all miserable futility with a worn-out pickaxe. "Redmond, you have a visitor," said Grape. The red stallion ignored him as a large rock from the wall fell to the ground. He placed the rock on a minecart and began towing it past Applejack and Grape. "Big Mac, it's me, your sister." The red stallion stopped for but a second and then moved on. Then Applejack grabbed a knife from Grape's belt and made a slash at the prisoner's uniform at his flank, revealing the image of a large green apple half with seeds inside. But the stallion continued on as if no pony cut him. Even at his skinny state, Applejack could not stop him from lumbering forward despite all her strength and effort. "Look at me square in the eyes, fella," said Applejack. "Is that how you treat your own flesh and blood? Why, if Mom and Dad was still alive, they'd take you to the back of the barn and whoop some menace into your flank." "My family's dead," he said. Hey, it's me. Take a look at my flank. Take a look. It's me, your little sis Applejack. I'm an apple, just like you." "Marks of Shane," mumbled Big Mac. "Have to work. Must work harder." "It's no use," said Grape. "When they brought him in, they broke him, and they broke him good. He's as good as dead." The mare bit her lip. She pulled her pants back up and marched back into the tunnel forks where Pinky was entertaining a circle of deadpan stallion prisoners by juggling several pickaxes and shovels. "I need you to do something, Pinks," said Applejack. "Anything to break my bro out of his stupid stupor." "I can never turn down a request," said Pinky, as her juggled items fell dangerously around her when she stopped. Happily, she bounced up to Big Mac and started making childish funny faces, some of which elicited a light chuckle from Grape. She cartwheeled around him, danced around him, and rubbed her tail on his face, both comically and slightly sensually. She resorted to blowing a kazoo until she was blue in the face, and even popped a party popper. Nothing elicited a response from the broken red stallion. At least Pinky had given up, and after rummaging through her uniform, she then placed the big green apple in front of Big Mac. "I'm sorry, AJ," said Pinky, "but even I have limits. This one will take some time." We have to go now," said Grape. "The guard shift is about to change." Like the Palace of the Earth, Applejack did not get the reunion she wanted. Apple Bloom was still alive, and at least for now she was safe in the cruel hoofs of Posey. However, her big brother, brave Big Mac, had been reduced to an empty shell of former self. All she could do now was hug him, hoping to feel a familiar heartbeat beneath his gaunt figure. "I'll come back for you," said Applejack, and I'm gonna break you out, whether you like it or not." "Let's go!" cried Grape. At his call, Applejack and Pinky followed him up to the main mining level and were escorted to the ledge from where they leapt. The gallop back to the mayor's work area felt faster, but they did move faster. They changed back to their mining overalls after reuniting with them, and then snuck themselves back to the back of the prison line just in time. Lucy's crew had twisted the key to get the mine train running, and then Re.Harmony rushed to board the carts. Applejack thought she and her friend were in the clear, but when the mine train took a different turn, she knew something was up. They weren't going through the tunnels of love again, because she couldn't see the parallel tracks. The trip back to the surface took every pony directly into what appeared to be the central annex, where they maintained and repaired the high-speed mine train. The sounds of grinding metal and high-torque ratcheting nut drivers sounded torturous, and sheets of rusted metal hang from chained hooks like meat. The situation here confused and frightened almost every prison mare, who were ordered to remain on the carts while the guards hopped off onto the platform with the rifles drawn. On this platform stood a smug Lieutenant Quake and 2 clone soldiers. "Prison 0106 Golden Harvest, also known as Carrot Top," said Quake. "Please step off the cart, now." This wasn't looking good. Harvest had betrayed Applejack to the Twilight Cult, and now she was going to do the same on behalf of Quake. The orange-maned pony pushed through the other prisoners, but she did not appear scared. She walked up right to Quake and whispered accusations into her ear. "I see," said Quake. "Prisoner 0242, Lucy's crew, also known as Crew Loose. Step off the cart." Harvest stepped aside just as Lucy stepped on the platform without a waver in her body and soul. She stood straight and proud, and while her eyes faced Quake, she stared right past her. As an assigned engineer, was it not your responsibility to make sure that the engines were in working order? Quake asked. It is. Then why, according to Mrs. Harvest's testimony, did you deliberately sabotage the starter during mining operations? Lucy remained silent. Dissatisfied with her insubordination, Quake smacked the blue pony into the ground and then pressed her hoof upon her head. Yet Lucy's eyes remained defiant, as if she was like a crouched dog ready to bite back at her owner. What were you planning with your little stunt? Quake asked. She was thinking that there were cave trolls and then we should go down and slay them, said Pinky. No pony asked you, cried Rose, who then promptly struck Pinky's muzzle with a baton. Where's Quirky? Asked Lucy. I'm not the one being interrogated, Lucy Screw, said Quake. I'll ask you again, what were you planning? Buck you. Charming, but this was not the answer Quake was looking for. With bare hoofs, she repeatedly bludgeoned Lucy, and every mare, both prisoner and guard, were horrified and yet too frightened to protest this brutality. Not many would brave the violent spectacle, and while Applejack was not allowed a clear view, she watched as best as she could with wide open eyes and heard every brutal blow. What she didn't hear was Lucy Screw's cry. That brave mare grit her teeth with every fiber of her being until Quake, feeling that she beat her unconscious, stopped punching. Applejack would rather believe that the Lieutenant Warden tired herself out, yet Quake shot out her glare and her sly smile specifically the rebel mare. Whether or not she knew about Applejack and Pinky's clandestine excursion, Applejack returned the glare in kind. Liddy and Daisy hauled away Lucy's body almost discreetly, but the scent of blood remained flesh. Applejack wanted to assess Lucy's damage, but the guards immediately boarded the mine train right when it started backtracking out of the maintenance annex and back into the proper station at the mayor's ward. From there, the guards pushed the prison mare into the lockers to change back to their normal uniforms. Bloody noses, Pinky sang. Bloody noses, I wish I could smell the white roses. Pinky had rolled up and stuck 2 tissue walruses up her nostrils, which were now red as a rose, just like in her song. No bones of her had been broken, but Applejack could have sworn a tooth had been knocked out of her mouth. She gave the orange pony a perfectly white smile when she saw her feeling despondent. Cheer up, AJ, cried Pinky. I'm sure Screwloose and Screwball are going to be all right. And I think Big Mac might come around. He might not, said Applejack. Even if I were to break him out, he would still act the same as he did in those mines. My little sister don't want to be an apple, but at least she's living the high life, bless her heart. Our 2 friends are taken away, and now all I have left is you. About that, I was told that I would be released today. Pinks, you're such a kidder. I'm serious, AJ, and I don't think I would be arrested again. Seriously, I really don't know how this prison system works. Supposedly, there's this 3 strikes rule that land you here forever, but they always want to kick me out a few days afterwards. I don't really think of these things because I know my way in and out here, like my home. Although it is kind of like my home because I was born here, but you get what I mean. So you're not really coming back? Of course I will. I'll make sure to visit, because I know you'll only be here for a couple of days more. You still gotta do your escape with your brother. I guess. Then keep on smiling, sister. and I'll be waiting outside so we can plan our next party. Just like that, Pinky was gone. Applejack didn't redecorate her pink cell, but it wasn't like she wanted to paint over any memories of Pinky's presence here. At breakfast, Applejack now sat alone at her table. Quirky and Lucy didn't return. Neither did Pinky. Every pony was a stranger to her, including Harvest, who shared a mutual distrust between herself and Applejack. They tried to exchange the fierce glances between one another as much as possible, but it was difficult given the relative size and growing emptiness of the cafeteria. Strangely enough, Mrs. Cake seemed chattier at breakfast, but Applejack didn't want to pay attention to her change. The blue cafeteria pony kept reminding Applejack on what she thought about the cornbread. Oh, she almost forgot. Applejack, checking to see if any pony was watching, unfolded the paper Mrs. Cake had snuck into her breakfast about a day ago. The orange pony expected to find drugs or some kind of pill to ease the pain in her life. What she read was the best medicine she had received thus far.